Uncus sits before his campfire and contemplates the things he has seen these last few days since he's been marooned on this island. He's found the ship that he came here on lies broken in the bay, and he has no use for it at all. It is not a repairable boat. He can never leave the island using that. He'll have to find another way off. And whilst he's been travelling around and exploring the immediate area around the bay where he's landed, he has found that there is plentiful game and materials on this island for him to be able to survive. Also, he has run across signs of Falmer in some of the areas around the Dwenmer ruins that he has found on the island. And tonight he would like to go out and scout these and see exactly what he is up against and what he can do to protect himself. So we're going to go and swim along the coast here, because we don't want to go across land, because we'll have to get too close to the Dwenmer ruins with all its dangers, and we will come ashore further up into a wooded valley. Now off we go then, and we're going to swim around the coast now. And as we move, we can see debris from the wreck floating in the water still, and here's the body of one of the poor souls that lost his life in the wreck, one of the crew members. The water is fairly warm here. It's a pleasant area to be in. The climate is not very cold, but also not overly warm, quite temperate in fact. And in the sea there are plenty of fish, and on the land plenty of deer and other game animals that he can make use of. Okay, we are now going to come ashore and move round up through these rocks and see if we can get up to a position where we can see what's going on. So dusk is starting to fall, and we've stopped now because we've seen a deer. Are we going into sneak mode? Because we're going to try and get ourselves a little meat for tomorrow. We're going to stalk around to this side. No, he's seen us, I think. He's nervous, but he's not running. If we stay still, we might be alright. Now he's going to eat. No, we didn't get him. He's wounded. Looks like he's going to get away. No sign of him. Ah, there he goes. Now we will go back into sneak mode and see if we can sneak up on him. And if you notice, I picked up 2 potato plants just then, which we can use in making a stew. There, got him. And then the other deer run. Now we'll sheath our bow, and then we will prepare the carcass for cleaning. This is using the options from Hunterborn that allow us to process the dead animals that we kill when we are out hunting. So we've now prepared the body to be used, and then we're going to skin the pelt. And there we have a deer hide which we can use to make some leather with later. And now we're going to remove the internal organs and some bones that could be useful for later in crafting tools for our survival. So, and then we've got some large antlers, some tundra cotton, that's probably something that the animal's recently eaten, and a large animal bone, which we can use for later in crafting. And now we're going to remove the meat. And there we've got animal fat and 2 portions of venison, which we can make a nice meal of, and the animal fat we can use to cure hides to make leather. And that's all part of the system that we get to use from using Hunterborn. Now we have an option to dispose of the animal corpse to tidy up the area, and the game will get rid of it eventually, but if we do it this way then they're gone a lot quicker. So there we go, that's it gone. Now we're going to go back this way. We're still in sneak mode, but we're on still quite a fast movement speed, and if we want to be more stealthy we'll have to move a little slower. Now we're getting a lot less difficult to find. Now we're going to climb up this rock, because we're actually looking for Falmer here tonight. Nothing to be seen at the moment. Just move around this way. Just a little further up along this cliff ridge, there is a gateway into part of the Dwenmer ruins that are underneath the mountain on this island. We'd like to keep away from that if we can, but if you look down the slope there, in between the trees, you can see a group of Falmer. They're jumping around between the trees doing whatever Falmer do when they're walking around at night. So we're going to try and get ourselves into a position where we can pick them off from a higher vantage point, without them being able to have an easy shot at us and giving us an advantage of height, which makes our arrows also slightly more deadly than theirs are from coming upwards, because arrows going up lose power and arrows falling gain power, and they penetrate far deeper into whatever they hit. Now let us see, where are they? There they are, down there. Can you see them in the trees? We're going to take a shot at them now and see what we can do there. See what happens. See if we can flush them out of the trees. They've noticed that, but they're not seeming to want to move. Oh, here they come. He moved. really want them to settle down a little bit. We move slightly closer. This guy looks a bit of a problem. He's obviously got a shield and a sword in his hands. Yes, we've hit one of them. Yes, one down. Now we've got to level up out of this, so we're going to go and do our leveling. And here we go. We'll push our health up slightly, and then we'll go to our archery tree, because that's our main power at the moment. And we will make our arrows stronger. Now we're back out, and let's see where those other two have gotten to. They don't seem to be able to see me so easily. I think they're behind those rocks, but we don't want to get them too close, because they'll start shooting at us, and that's not what we want. There they are. You can just see their heads. They're moving back towards their wounded comrade. And if they can stop in a minute. One to go. Now, we've now got rid of 3 Falmer with very little damage to ourselves. That should be alright now. Let's just see what they've got on them. We'll pick this all up. This is probably going to make me too heavy to move. Yeah, there he is up in the corner. Too heavy to run. Well, we're coming out of sneak mode now and going into ordinary mode, because we're going to go now to a shelter that I know of in this valley. If we go across this valley now, we'll soon be able to go and deposit our loot in a chest in a stone Dwenmer cottage that I know of here. I think you can just see the roof of it over the top of the there's between the trees there, if I've got the right direction. Let's put the, yeah, it looks about right. I'll turn off the HUD again. I think it looks more realistic wandering around out here in this beautiful landscape. And if you also notice, I've turned off the music, which is my preference for this sort of gameplay, because to be honest with you, who has a brass band wandering around behind them when they're walking through the forest? I think it's slightly off-putting, really. It's not, it makes me not feel that I'm walking through a forest, but on a film set or something. And now you can start to see the building coming up ahead. And if we look here, there's a leek plant. We'll pick that, and there is also another potato plant. So we should be able to make a nice meal if we've got some salt. And otherwise we'll have to get some at some point in the future. There is on this island a source of salt, but you have to find it to be able to use it, and I don't really want to give any spoilers, because if I show you too much then it won't be much of a discovery for you to do it. But this one cottage I will show, because it's fairly easy to find. It's probably the second building anybody will find apart from the Dwenmer ruins, and the first one being the cottage on the harbour, where you come out onto the into the bay after you've been shipwrecked. And I've just picked up some firewood at the back of there, because when we get inside you will find that there's a cast iron cooking pot in there and a fireplace, and with a combination of the three, the firewood, the cooking pot and the fireplace, we can make a cooking station where we can cook various things if we have the right ingredients. So there we are, there's the pot, and we'll pick that up, and then we come in closer. Oh, there's the fire, and we can leave if we haven't got everything we want. If we got the option to light the fire, then we can build the cooking station. And there we have it, a nice little roaring fire going in the fireplace, and a cooking pot bubbling away there as if it's cooking for you. Now we can have a look, see if we can cook anything at the moment. I don't think we can, because I don't think we've got any salt. Or well, yeah, we can make a boiled skeever tail, because that doesn't need any salt. Yes, if we look here, cooked mammoth steak needs, if you look in the bottom here, in the bottom underneath the recipe, you'll see it needs a salt pile and a mammoth steak, so we can't cook that. The same with anything that's in red, we don't have the ingredients for at the moment. We can make another skeever tail if we wish. It gives us at least something to eat. And then if we come out of here, there are a few other things that we can do as well, because I have in my inventory a few dead mud crabs, and you don't need salt to cook those. So let's go in there. Here we are, and then we go to general rubbish, and somewhere we should, there we go, 11 mud crabs, and we're going to do all of those. We'll just do, so 2 of them for now. And these we're going to clean using the hunter-born resource options. No, we don't want that. Wrong one. Missed that. Was supposed to be going for the E, not the R. Now we've got the choice to pick it up, clean it, and manually loot, which in the early days is the handy thing to use. You can also disable this, and then that option won't be available later. But in the early stages on this island, when you've not got an awful lot of resources, it's a handy way to get extra things. So you can get some mud crab shitting and raw mud crab legs. Then we'll come out of there, and now we'll do it the way we're supposed to do it. First we clean the body, and being as it's a sea creature, it has a slightly different menu. Now we harvest the ingredients. We don't at this point skin the animal, because it hasn't got the skin to be skinned. It's got a shell, and that will be removed when we take the meat out of it. Now butcher the meat. And there we've got raw mud crab legs, and some animal fat, which we'll use again later. And then we have here another option to dispose of it, and there should be another one of those somewhere around here. Or did we only drop one after all? No, if we only dropped one, doesn't really matter too much. I just want to show. That sounds like a wolf. He doesn't appear to be coming in here. But there are wolves on these islands, so sometimes you have to be careful of them. He doesn't seem to be interested. Maybe he doesn't like the fire. Mark, we go into the here, and then we can have boiled mud crab. There he is again. I think I'm going to have to go outside in a minute. And steamed mud crab legs. And then we've got our nice meal for ourselves for later. I'm going to empty my inventory now, because I need to lose the weight so I can go outside and see what this wolf is up to, because I don't really want to have to fight him. See if I can scare him away. You'll see I've got quite a few different things in here. Oh, that was something I didn't want to put in there. I'll pick that out of there in a minute. Some skeever carcasses as well I have. And some tree bark there. But I didn't want to... Where are we? Storage chest. Didn't want to take that out. That is a quest item, which we will need later. And it doesn't weigh anything at all, and those sort of things I'd like to keep keep by me when I'm walking around. Then I have them with me if I need them. We've got some books here. Well, we'll keep those for now. All these ingredients, we'll get rid of these. This will considerably lighten our load. Now, let's go into sneak mode, get our bow out. I can hear him wandering around out there. Well, that took care of him. Shot him through the curtain. I don't know what he was doing here, but I didn't want to take any chances. Normally I try not to kill wolves, but in this case, might have been a better idea. Now there's the manual loot here, and now look, I'll get my arrow back and a wolf skin, and then we'll go back to the hunter-born method of doing things. Field dressing. Skinning the hide, or the pelt, whichever you would like to call it. And because I've not got much hunter-born experience yet, it's not a very good pelt, which is why I do the manual loot, and then I can still make leather out of the manual loot pelt, and the other one I can use to make leather thongs. And then we go for the ingredients. And we've got some wolf claws, 2 canine teeth and a wolf eye. Before I go any further, I'm going to change 1 or 2 things in the Hunter-born menu, which I forgot to do when I set up at the beginning. If you look through here, you can see use screen fade out when doing actions from Hunter-born, like skinning, etc. And also a blood spatter happens across the screen, which, yeah, alright, if you want to use it, you use it, and if you don't, you don't. And it just clutters up the screen, I think. I don't use it. And the fade out, now if we go back, that I've got rid of that, watch what happens here now. I go to butcher meat, and it doesn't go black. You can see me actually doing it, and then when I'm finished, you see me stand up. And I think that's a slightly more immersive way to do it. It looks more real. And then we come through here, and we get rid of this corpse as well. And we'll move on to the next stage of what I wanted to show you here tonight. Now, I've got all the things I need, I think. There's another fur hide here, by the way. I'll pick that up whilst I'm at it, because I'm going to be making some leather in a minute. And there's a few books laying around. They're all ruined. They're not legible at all in any way, but they are a source of tinder for lighting campfires. You can use the paper to start the fire before you start putting your wood on and everything. And whilst we're here as well, there's a Dwenmer kist here. Let's see what's inside it. Here we have an Ethereum gem. This is another part of the crafting system that the author of this mod, the island, has added along with the quests. Around the island you can find various clothing and armor and weapons, and these are termed ancient, and then whatever they are, ancient sword, ancient hunter's hood, ancient mage's robe, whatever, what have you. And there are slots you can put up to 3 of these Ethereum gems in if you have the right smithing level, crafting level, and the right ingredients, and you can improve them by adding these, and they get different effects and boosts to the equipment that you use. But seeing as my avatar Uncus does almost no smithing, he never gets any higher than steel, and he uses absolutely no magic whatsoever. The only thing he does use that's slightly magic is herbal recipes and natural plant ointments and what should we call them? And potions that a normal hunter would be expected to know how to use or make for himself when he's out in the forest. So low-level healing potions, that sort of thing, and it's about the limit of his magical powers. He's not at all a magically inclined character. He's totally a hunter and a scout, so he's got very high archery and sneak statistics, and these I've set all at the beginning of the game before I started, using a special mod where I can add points to the different perks that you can get in the different weapon and where the different perk trees in the level up system, and that way I've made him an experienced hunter with good survival skills. And his only real problem is he does start at level 1, so he still has to level up things like his stamina and his health, and his magic bar never really gets very much higher than it is now, because, as I say, he uses almost no magic at all. Now we've done that and had a little talk amongst ourselves, I'm going to make a tanning rack, and we're going to do this using the system that a crafting system in the camping mod, the subsidiary from Frostfall that Shesko has made. And if we press the hotkey that I've got put in there, for my case it's page down, but it's whatever you want to make it, to be honest with you. And I see we need some firewood or some other kind of wood to make the tanning rack, because here it is. I'll have to go those out the chest in a moment, but you can make it either with 3 firewood or with 5 deadwood, and deadwood you can find by looking for it using the hunter-born scavenge power, and the firewood you can get through chopping wood. But I should have some firewood in the chest, so we'll just go over there and have a look in there, and then we'll go to the crafting section, and we have 2 deadwood and 7 firewood. Now we only need 3 of those, and we'll leave the rest in there for now. So we'll take those and then come back out again, and then we go back into the camping crafting thing. You know, you can see I can make various things here. A walking stick, which gives you increased stamina by 10 points, and a tanning rack, which we're going to make in a minute. And also you can make a stone knife. Why you would, I don't really know, because it's you can't really use it for anything at all. And you can make stone arrows, which are very useful. All you need is firewood to make those, and it assumes that you've got flint chippings to make the arrowheads readily available. And you can also make linen wraps, which you can use for lighting fires if out of any cloth clothing. This particular one is from the ragged trousers that Uncus is wearing. And these are fur plates, because the camping system uses these to make fur armour instead of other clothes. So it doesn't use leather for that. And these are but what is handy is if you have these and you go here, you can see you can make a fur plate out of the elk hide. But we're not going to do that, so we're going to press no. And you press the other one, you can make it out of the wolf pelt. And we're not going to do that yet either, because we'd like to show you how to use it with the tanning rack. So here we go, we'll make the tanning rack. If we haven't already done that, I can't remember if we did it or not now, but it doesn't really matter. 2 is always better than 1. Now we'll go and stand over here and we'll put this tanning rack down. Now we go into our inventory again, and then into the crafting section, and there you have the tanning rack. And you look at the bottom of the page, you can see E is use, R is drop, and F is favourite. Now we're going to use the E for the use model, because we want to place it on the ground so we can use it. Now it's a little close to the wall, because you can see it clipping into the wall, so we can move backwards slightly and position it a little better. Yeah, that's better. Shouldn't be clipping there now. And then we press that on the E button again, and then place here, and now we have a tanning rack that we can use, and it's got the basic tanning rack properties that you find in any tanning rack in anywhere in Skyrim. So we'll go up here and we'll open the menu, and we press use, and then we'll have a look, see what we can do. Now here we can make leather, and we can do that with the wolf pelt and 1 fat. So that's 1. Now we've got this here, the fur plate for the elk hide. First we're going to make a fur plate, and now you see we can make another leather, and that we are making from the fur plate. So yes, and if you see, we had 2 fur plates, because if you look behind in the brackets, you will now see a 1, and just now there was 2, so we had 2 fur plates. So now we can make more leather out of this. So, and then press the yes again, and then I want to do something else. We come out of that, they go back to the camping thing, and look, we can make a bedroll so that we have somewhere to sleep. So this is the crafting system from the bedroll, and we put that in, yes, and then we move over here and put it here. So if I open up the menu again, have a look at the inventory, hover over the bedroll, press use, and then we get a sack on the floor, press use again, first place here, and there on the floor we have a bedroll. Now we've got somewhere to sleep, somewhere to cook our food, somewhere to help process the leather and leather that we get from the animals that we hunt, and somewhere to store all our junk and other useless or useful items, as the case may be. Now we'll just clean out Uncus's inventory a little more, and then we'll be able to pick more things up as we move around. That's that. Now what have we got here? This is foodstuffs. Now we have an apple cabbage stew, a beef stew, boiled mud crab, cabbage potato soup, cabbage soup, clam chowder, hawker stew, all things that are already cooked and we don't have to make. Here is an ingredient, leek, and here is 3 potatoes. We don't need those. Here we have potato soup, raw venison, we'll put that in there, raw wolf meat, and steamed mud crabs, one of Uncus's favourites, and 3 tomatoes, we'll put those in there, and a tomato soup, and 3 water skins. Now this will we be eating as we go around later, and we'll be drinking from that. And there are various places around the island where you can fill up your water skins, but there is a but to that. Water that is moving fast in fast flowing streams and across waterfalls is unusable water. It's moving too fast to be able to fill up. However, having said that, there are 2 or 3 small ponds or lakes to be found around the island where you can fill them up, and also the seawater around the island is also usable as fresh water. For some reason the mod author who made this mod never found out how to make the sea into salt water, so he left it at that. And the salt source that is on the island, because you can't get it from the seawater obviously, is actually a thing that I suggested to him, and he added it in a later build of the mod. And there is now a source of salt you can find on the island and collect. There is quite a bit there, so you should have plenty to last you all the time you're here. And if you're a very into a tradery type sort of person, you could probably mine an awful lot of salt there, take it back to the mainland when you find a way to get off the island, and sell it for a vast profit. So that's one of the advantages of having an almost endless source of salt on the island. Now, that's that done. Now, let's go look what's... No, it's still quite dark outside, but it looks like the sun's going to be coming up soon, so we'll have a short rest. And it's just 5 o'clock in the morning. We'll have 3 hours sleep, and then we'll get up and see what we can find outside. Oh, and there's my stomach going away. That means I'm hungry. So, and I've just eaten something. There we go, steamed mud crab legs. And we'll take a drink of water whilst we're at it, just to keep that at bay. And if you see the fire, that just keeps burning and burning forever now. They never go out again. Not like the campfires that you build outside. They do eventually use up the wood you've put in them and go away. Now, it's a beautiful morning. I'm just going to, now that it is fairly safe, take you up to the entrance to that Dwenmer ruin that I told you about earlier, and have a little look inside carefully, because we don't really want to bump into any of the Falmer once we're inside at this point, because oh, listen to the birds. Look at that. That's another mod I've got running here. It's a mod that spawns songbirds all over the island, and it's quite a nice immersive way of making the place feel a little bit more live and lived in. And if we look here, if we put the HUD on, you can see which direction we've got to go in. It's going up there behind the trees. Now we'll turn the HUD off again, because I just did that to show you the general direction. I know where I'm going because I've been here before. And there you can see the doorway there. If we come up here, there's a stairway And now ancient ruins discovered, and the ominous music. And if you look here, there is a corundrum or vein, and it goes all the way along the face of this cliff up to the bank there. So there's 1, 2, 3 deposits, and if you're of a mind to, you can mine that out and get ore out of it, and usually 1 or 2 gems as well. And you can use it in the manufacture of steel by combining it with iron ore, which you can also find in various places around here in the island. I will warn you though, there isn't that much of it, so you be careful, choose what you make with it, make sure it's something you really want. Like for instance, a steel hunting knife is a good thing to have. A good short sword or axe, or a good knife or dagger is a good thing to have, but I wouldn't go into anything too complicated, because it's going to be definitely, when on this island, it's more about marshalling your resources, what you have, and making the best use of them that you can. And later on, as you level up and gain more skills and find your way around the island and find where to find things you need and what to do, it does become easier. But in the beginning, it's can be a struggle, especially if you don't take care of what you do. But anyway, having said that, that's a little bit of advice for if you do choose to do this this mod quests. This is the doorway into the ruin. Into sneak mode, you never know what's behind the door. It's always a good idea. At least I think so, at least. And when this light comes back, yep, there it comes. Here is an obviously ruined chamber, probably some kind of how shall we say, guard room or so. I'm just going to see if I can do something about that music, because it's driving me nuts. I have to go to the settings, audio, master. Yeah, look, the music's not completely out. Oop, gone. Thank God for that. Now back. That's better. And now all you can hear is the wind running through, which is also a little high, so we'll adjust that as well. This is something you really need to do for your own preference. Effects, we'll put that down to about half, just above half. Music I've killed. The birds, I like to keep that. And the voices, if you had to had anybody to talk to, because there are no NPCs on this island. But that's more for when you get back to the mainland. And that's the master volume, leave that up. Now let's see how that's sounding now. That's better. Now we're not being overwhelmed by the sounds. You can hear the wind running through the passageways and the odd rock falling here and there. And now we're walking through here, through a tunnel, carefully making sure we don't bump into anybody we don't want to bump into. Carefully looking around the corners before we proceed. And then we come through here. Here's a small open spaceway. If you carefully look, make sure there's nobody there. Dead end both sides, just a slight widening of the passageway. And then we go further through here, and then we shall find something a little interesting in a minute. When we get through here, let's keep the surprise for you. And there you can see your first piece of Dwenmer masonry on the underground part of this island. And let's go around this corner, further in. This particular area is not particularly well populated by Falmer. It is not unusual to bump into one here every now and again, especially towards the evening if they're coming to go out on patrols, as the 3 I killed last night were. Now we come in here, and some mushrooms might come in handy, and there we see another Dwenmer chest, which has another Ethereum gem in it, if you see, and some gold. Now we'll take those. And you remember those Ethereum gems are for crafting later on. Now, paper, always a handy thing to pick up. You can use it for kindling, you can use it for making rubbings off of some of the statues and carvings on walls in different areas, and some of them they will allow you to make spell scrolls that you can use if you're of the mind to. And I'm just going around picking all this up, and if you notice there is a bed which is usable there, and also a chair. You're quite free as far as I'm concerned to use the chair, but I wouldn't advise sleeping on the bed because there's always a chance that you're going to be ambushed by a stray Dwenmer, a stray Falmer coming out of the ruins through to here. Now this is where I have to start being careful, because there is the chance that I will meet a Falmer now, and I don't really want to do that at the moment. And that's the start of one of the quests on the island. It's quite dark and dim down here, and it's a well-known thing that the Dwenmer had a way of directing sunlight down into their caverns to ensure that they had enough light to go about their business and do their work. And our job for the quest is to find a way to get that working again. Now if you see that stairway there, if I was to continue in there, at the top of that stairway and just around the corner is a Falmer, but he's quite strong and I don't really want to bump into him at the moment, so we're going to make our way back outside again. And if we're into fast sneak mode, because the chances of running into anything out here are actually slim to none, so you don't really need to worry too much. But actually once you get into the actual ruins, there are 1 or 2 Falmer in there that are a real challenge, and if you haven't prepared yourself well enough to take them on before you start, you're going to die. So if you're playing Dead is Dead, this can be a very taxing part of the mod and the quests and story to go with it. Now, we should go back outside. And back out into the sunlight. And back down here. Now, as I said, there are wolves here, and depending on which mods you use, they can be very challenging, or they can be not so challenging, because these wolves, if you're using sky, what was it called? Sky kill. Let's have a look. I've got in the inventory here. We can have a look, see what it's called, because I can't remember. No, it's not there. But anyway, there's a mod where I'm running a mod at the moment that's recommended, and it modifies the behaviour of most animals. It makes some of them cowardly randomly, and some of them exceedingly aggressive. And the exceedingly aggressive ones can be quite a difficulty. A single wolf may run away, or he may attack you, but he's more likely to run away. But if there are a group of them, a small pack, then they will probably attack you, and 3 or 4 wolves attacking you in concert can be the end of you if you don't have the right tactics to get away. And the best thing to do is to try and run up a cliff somewhere where they can't get at you more than one at a time, and you can try and fight them off like that by killing them one at a time, and not having to take too much damage from sneak attacks behind you by the rest of the pack members. But that's all really part of your own play style. But if you wander around out here, you can see just how nicely he's made all this scenery. And there go some of the birds from the one that I mentioned earlier. There's one bird sitting up in a tree there, and it's just nice to hear all the bird sound in the background. It makes it seem so peaceful that you can get lulled into a false sense of security if you're not careful, because there are always the possibility that you might run into a bear. There are saber cats on this island as well. Not very nice things to run into. And trolls. There are 1 or 2 trolls on the island. There's another to be careful of. One of the things that the mod author himself did do is add quite a lot of butterflies to the island. And I usually tend to leave them alone, but they are also useful as alchemy ingredients. Various things. There's another one of those birds I was telling you about. That's a spore point there, and if you come up against it and they're sitting on the floor, then they fly away like that in a cloud of leaves, which is quite a pleasant thing to see. Yeah. And there they are. There's another one just spawned out, and there is a menu where you can choose how many birds will be spawned from a particular spawn point, and how many birds are allowed to be running around on the island at one time. And the more you put in there, obviously the more it taxes your video card, and depending on how powerful your computer is, how many you can get away with having. There is a slight load problem with the island, because if you look out here now, you can see quite far into the distance, and the detail drops off quite rapidly as you get further away. Because if you see that what looks like a floating disc there, that is in fact a platform with a statue on it, and when you get closer you can see it, and it's got very beautiful detail from close by, but from a distance it doesn't work quite so well. But if you want to take screenshots, if you just jump around a little bit, you can find usually a place that will give you the illusion of taking a long shot, but will also give you something worth taking a screenshot of. Like for instance what you have there in front of you now. It's a nice little shot of that cottage underneath the trees on the cliff edge. But in that direction it's another story. It's not quite so oh, that wasn't very clever. I jumped a little too far down. Never mind, that'll get better. Now, keep a watch out. Something else I forgot to mention, there are also 1 or 2 spiders on the island. And I don't mean the little ones, I mean the big ones you have to run from. So you have to be careful when you're wandering around, because they also have a a pattern where they wander around the island, and you can meet them in various places, so you'll never know exactly when you're safe and when you're not. I will say though, once you have killed them, they don't seem to respawn, so that will probably be alright. If you went away and came back again, I wouldn't like to say what happened. And there you have a floating tree. One of the things that you do come across on this is because there are so many trees and it's so much work, there are one or two that aren't quite placed as well as they could be, and some places further up in the mountain you have to be careful you don't slip through the clip through the rock formations. This is another place. If you look here, by standing here like this and looking there, even though the detail in the distance isn't as detailed as it is close to you, it doesn't look as bad. By looking through the trees like this, you can compose a fairly usable screenshot. And I must say that you do get some very nice sunsets in this around here as well, and they can be very nice things. And there you can see a fox, which I can hunt, or I can just let him go, and I don't really feel like doing anything. That's oh, there's two of them in fact. That is one thing from the mod that I'm using as well. If you stay around long enough, then the animals on the island at a certain point will go off and look for a mate. You won't see anything happen at all, but you will at a certain point see that they have offspring, and that's also quite nice and immersive. At least I think so. It makes it another thing that makes it feel that little bit more alive and real. But, I think that's about all I'm going to do now today, because this was really a bit of a test as well, because I made a video yesterday and the microphone didn't work, but it appears to be working now. So I shall say goodbye, and who knows, maybe you'll get another one of these in the near future. For now, we'll be turning off. Goodbye to you all.